Assalamu alaikum, hello, good morning, good afternoon to everyone joining us from around the world. I am Sumaya Salam. I am one of the Macfest team, a member of the Macfest team. I am delighted to see you today. Welcome you to Macfest 2022. I am delighted to introduce you to our host for this event, Nusrat Ahmed, who is a South Asian Gallery Lead at Manchester Museum. Welcome. Before I hand you over to her, I would like the audience to please follow Macfest on our social media sites. If you can share our news, share the hashtag spread honey, not hate. As you know, our events are free, most of them are free, and we would welcome donations. Thank you. Thank you to Nusrat. Over to you, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Sumaya. Thank you, viewers. I'm actually going to just hand over now and put on a recorded session that we did within the museum. And I want to say thank you to all of my colleagues that helped me to pull that together. So I will be here at the end of the session to take some questions. So yeah, hand over to putting on the recording.
Assalamu alaikum and hello everyone. My name is Nusrat Ahmed and I'm here at Manchester Museum. I work for the museum and I'm leading on the South Asia Gallery. It's really nice to be part of Macfest again. I was able to be part of Macfest in 2021. But at that time we were hoping that in 2022 we'd be able to have Macfest in person, but it obviously isn't the case. The reason why we're not having it in person is not just because of the pandemic, it's because we're actually closed to the public for most of 2022. And the reason for that is we're in the middle of a £15 million project called Hello Future. It will be a double-storey extension being added to the existing building, and it is to transform Manchester Museum into becoming more imaginative and inclusive and relevant to the diverse communities that we serve. And a keystone of that Hello Future is the South Asia Gallery, which will sit on the first floor in the new extension. And the gallery is the first dedicated permanent gallery to the histories and heritage and culture of South Asia. It is a partnership with the British Museum, and it will house some of the collections and objects from both the British Museum and our own collections. But more importantly than that, the South Asia Gallery is a really exciting project because it's taken a different approach from that's usually being taken by museums. The gallery is being co-curated, co-produced, and co-designed by a group of collected people. And we've been working with this group of people for nearly over 4 years now. And it is about sharing their experiences and their stories and the objects that they want to share with their visitors. The collective is made up of a diverse group of people. We have some historians, teachers, musicians, artists, scientists, medical professionals, and students. So by placing Manchester's South Asia diaspora at the heart of the gallery to co-curate it, it's allowed for those different narratives and perspectives. And then for people to see South Asia in a different light than what they would normally see if it was a normal object-led, geographical, chronological led gallery. So it's been really exciting to be part of this process. What we really want is for the gallery to then be a place for people to come and feel that they can identify within the stories and the objects. And we're really looking forward to seeing our doors being open to the public and people coming to see the new South Asia Gallery at the end of 2022. In our next section, myself and Irit Narkis will be talking about some of the collections that we have and the objects within our own collections at Manchester Museum. And also I'll be talking to you about some of my own objects from my home. And then later on, we'll be speaking to some of our co-curators, Saira and Yusuf, who have been part of this Hello Future South Asia Gallery journey. And they will talk about some of their objects and the significance they have on them.
Hello, I'm Irit, and I'm the conservator for the South Asia Gallery project. Under normal circumstances and kind of a normal gallery that we do, I'd be advising on what treatment the objects need and actually do the treatment, what kind of conditions they need to be in terms of humidity and temperature, how much light they can put up with, that sort of thing. But because we've been working with Collective, it's been a much more kind of integral, in-depth work. So because we started with the stories and we've gone on to choose objects through that will best represent and illustrate those stories, I've taken an active role in working with the Collective, which has been a fantastic opportunity for me, real different perspective to what I usually get. And it's been great. So that's my role, but I am interested very much in the material world, the objects, what they're made of, how they've been made, that sort of thing. But I think we mustn't forget objects in their own right, they're just objects. What makes them meaningful is the way people see them, and that they're important to people, and the relationship between people and objects is the important thing. So today, Nusrat and I are going to just showcase a few objects and talk a bit about calligraphy, which is a really interesting topic. I think we're going to start with these scissors, which are, they're just beautiful. They're beautifully crafted. They've got all this marvelous, intricate design on them.
I think when we went to the stores downstairs to have a look at the objects, I think what struck me about these objects that we're going to show today is how beautiful they are. And I think that really represents calligraphy as an art form and its relevance to Islam. I think the way they're shaped, because you wouldn't really have scissors that long normally.
No.
It just shows that there's been thought put into the instruments. And I think that's exactly what calligraphy and the style of Islamic art is in itself. So that really struck me, and it's really nice that we're able to talk about these today. So as we can see, on the handle of the scissors, it says Ya Fatah, which is the opening, and you'd have that in Surah Fatiha at the start of the Quran. So I suppose that's because that's where the scissors open.
Yeah, yes, I guess so. And it's like the opening move. It's what you do first. You cut your paper. I agree with you that all of these, and we'll look at these more closely, they are such beautiful artifacts. And I guess it's this important role that calligraphy has in Muslim culture, because main thing that is done is writing the Quran. I mean, it's true they write other things written, like things in praise of rulers and poetry even, and that sort of thing. But the Quran is the main thing, and it's what it was kind of created for.
Yeah, and I think the person using those tools would be a very important person as well. So I think that's significant.
Yeah. Apparently it takes 5 years to train as a calligrapher, and that's to basic level. And then, you get the experience, years, but you start with an apprenticeship for 5 years. So that's serious training, very serious training.
So where would these scissors come from?
So these, I think they're from Turkey, Ottoman. So that's during the Ottoman Empire. And it still is actually, Turkey is a big center of calligraphy. And there's still teachers there who have students and apprentices in Turkey. It's quite famous for it. So these will be probably, I think there's something like 17th or 18th century. And this tradition continues. And even now, where we have probably modern tools that we could use, you could use a Stanley knife, and you can use metal nibs and things. People still use the traditional materials, and they're still trained to make them. So They're trained to make their own pens. They're usually made of reed or bamboo, and they use usually a folding knife, something like this. It's not particularly special, but this is Turkish, and they use that to cut the nib, make it the right angle, and use the right thickness. So you have nibs in various widths, so you can vary the style of your writing. So that's, you know, the attention and the care goes down to actually creating your own writing tools, which I think is great. So yeah, so, and then of course all the pens will go in a pen case usually, and we have quite a few in the store. So when you and I went to look at it, we opened a drawer and there was like a dozen of them, and they were all beautiful. But we just chose two, which are particularly lovely.
Quite different.
Yes, they are very different. So this one is made out of I think it's made out of paper mache, and it's painted and coated with lacquer. But if you look at it, you know, the outside is beautifully painted with flowers and birds. And when you open it, you can see that there's a pattern even on the inside, the bit that probably most people wouldn't see, but the calligrapher would see. So while they're working, they're kind of surrounded by beauty. And it's, I guess, maybe a reminder of how important the work they're doing is. So that one is, even the bottom is decorated.
I mean, even just to have that to put your pen in just says a lot.
Yeah.
You know, what do we do today? Probably got a pen holder, but to actually take the pen, put it in the box, close the box, just shows how much care and thought is put into that.
Yeah. No, I think it's true. It's like some people will, to have a journal, they'll buy a really nice bound notebook and have a really nice pen to write with. It does make a difference.
Yeah, it protects that pen.
Yeah.
You know, if it is something that, you know, it could be easily damaged because of the nib.
No, that's true.
It's care being taken in creating that particular size of nib, then you do want to protect it. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it has a cover.
So this is, I think, this is really special. Do you want to say something about this?
Yeah,
I think it's knitted actually.
It does look like, doesn't it? And at the bottom you can see the inscription of Allah all the way around. It has it on the sides and at the top, and then it has, I think that was it a button?
Yes.
A buttonhole. You can see it's
a bit
quite frayed now, but this would be where you would put the pen holder inside. So it's like having double protection.
Yes, it is, and it's not, and it's sort of this reminder, I guess, of what you're doing and what you're doing it for. And I think that's really nice. Yeah, quite. It's, you know, it's a very simple thing. It's just a knitted kind of sock to keep something in, like you'd have, I don't know, people have with their phone, but it is again, it's made with that attention. That's really nice. Yeah. So we brought another pen case up, which is made of metal this time, so that the decorations on it have been engraved. It's made out of iron, so it's quite heavy, and the design is engraved, but there are a few birds here. And when I looked at it under the microscope, I could see that there's little cross hatches on the iron, on the birds, only on the birds. And on that, some gilding was placed. So the cross hatching helps it stick. So they do the cross hatching, put some kind of binder on it, and then gold leaf, which is thinner than tissue paper, you lay it on top of that and you kind of rub it to make it hold. And then you brush off, and the bits that don't have any adhesive underneath will just blow off. And you think, oh no, what a waste of gold, but it's a tiny, tiny piece of gold which is beaten really, really thin. So there's not not a huge amount of gold there.
So would that show us the kind of person that would be doing this?
Well, I mean, you'd have to have a specialist making this kind of pen box. I mean, the same is true for all these things, for the scissors, for the other pen box. You know, you would need somebody who knows their craft to do this. So somebody would make something out of iron and do these beautiful carvings. You know, yes, it would be definitely
access to gold.
And yes, and it's a specialist job, definitely. Yeah, yes.
But I really like that one because because of the detail. It really reminded me of the things that we see today. So you know, on my travels to South Asia, and some of the things that I've seen there just reminded me of those that you have in your kind of ornaments and decor today.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So the pen boxes, a lot of them were made in Persia, in what's now Iran, and so there's a big tradition of that there, and of calligraphy, of course, the two kind of centers. Yeah. So the last object that we have here from the museum is this inkwell, and it's also from Turkey. I think it's really delightful. So it's also made of iron, and what they've done is that the design is raised, leaving empty spaces, and those spaces are filled with enamel of different colors. So enamel is basically a glass, and it creates this really nice design. The lid is just a small opening on the top, which I won't open because it's too delicate, that you can see. And it's also from Turkey, and it's just another object to complete the collection of lovely things that the calligrapher surrounds themselves with to do their work. I think it's really lovely.
Do you think they would have had one matching with? So they probably had sets.
Yeah, they might have done. I mean, we don't have any matching sets in the museum collection, and often what comes into the collection is slightly random because it relies on collectors who collected it initially, and they've just picked up something they like, and not necessarily, it might not have come with the rest of its set, or maybe different parts of the set went to different people. So it can be slightly random what we have in our collection.
I suppose that's how we work as well. We go pick things up. It's not generally for a set.
Yeah.
Does that bring us nicely to things that I've picked up in my travels?
Yeah, I think that's true, because it's like you think, oh, I like that. I'm going to buy this. Yeah, that's very true.
So when Ira and I were talking about, and it was the first time I actually went to see the collections, although I've been at the museum for a while. I think probably COVID has meant I haven't been able to see.
Well, none of us have.
But I was really amazed to see, especially these pieces, and it reminded me of something that I've actually brought from my travels to Pakistan, and I've got them here, which I'm bringing in nicely. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know what drew me to them, and I can't remember which visit it was, so I don't know how many years ago, but I do have them in a showcase, a cabinet that I have at home, and it very much is like very detailed carvings.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, they're lovely. It's the kind of thing you get with the carving, the animals, the flowers, and the craftsmanship. Yeah, is really quite.
So this has a number of engravings of animals. You can see.
I think it's a bit of a hunting scene of a lion hunting other animals.
Yeah, pheasants. You can have a boar and a lion, and they're all actually in motion. So it just brings the vase to life.
Yes, yeah, it does. And especially where you have the areas that have been carved in are shinier than the surface. And the way the light plays on that also gives it a lot of life. They're lovely.
I'm not sure what this one actually is, but
it's just a useful touch. Yeah, something. This is really nice. And I'm not sure how they've done this, but they've treated the surface with a colour there, so you get the flowers in different colours. That's really nice. I don't really know much about these elements.
And I do have two more, which I presume I brought together. I can't actually remember that.
They look like a set.
They look like a set, and it's a very tall neck, and it just reminded me of a very traditional Middle Eastern Persian water vessel.
Yeah.
So the kind of like strokes that they have on there reminded me of the letters in Arabic, but I don't actually think this one has
I see what you mean. The shapes, but it doesn't. I think it's just
decorative.
I think it's just decorative. Yeah, but it would be this. It would be the technique to create, to put words on it would be the same, I guess.
So just seeing my objects next to these objects,
they're just as important. Well, because it's what I said. It's not the objects themselves. It's what we find them important, what we feel about them, our attachment to them. That's the, or attachment, with these things historically, that the people who made them and used them initially. But these are the ones that you use now, and it's no different really. And I think that's the beauty of museums and museum collections. It's this personal connection that we can form with these things.
Yeah. So thank you, that was brilliant. So they were some of the objects from the Manchester Museum, and these were some taken from my home. And next we'll be talking to two of our co-curators, Yusuf Tai and Saira Qureshi. They will introduce themselves in the next segment, and they will be talking about their objects and the significance they have for them. Assalamu alaikum, Yusuf and Saira. It's lovely to see you. Thank you for joining me today on a Friday evening at 4:45. So I know that you're taking time to come and speak to me today, and I'm really thankful and grateful for you to do that. Before we start the session, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves. I'm just going to give you a quick introduction and say that you are both part of the South Asia Gallery Collective. The Macfest viewers will already know a little bit about South Asia Gallery, and this segment is hopefully following that, which we're all going to put together at the end. So, Saira, can I start with you? If you can introduce yourself, and I will put us on speaker view.
Hello, good evening, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Saira Qureshi. I've been a member of the South Asia Gallery Collective from the onset, and been involved in consultations and conversations from the beginning. I'm very excited to see the project come to fruition this year, and thank you for inviting us to talk to you about it.
Yusuf?
Hello, everybody. My name is Yusuf Tai. I'm also a member of the SAG Collective, the South Asia Gallery Collective at the Manchester Museum. It's been, the past few years I have been involved. It's been an investment of time, energy, and so much of the creativity I didn't think I have when I became involved. And I'm now really looking forward to seeing the fruition of that work, and for friends and family and the wider audiences to come and engage with the things that we've been thinking about, talking about, and putting our time to for the past few years.
Thank you. Thank you. That's brilliant. And we can talk more within the conversation that you two will have around some objects that you want to share with the Macfest viewers. So I'm actually going to just leave it to you to discuss between yourselves. And if you want to share your screen, you have the co-hosting rights to do that.
Oh. So hi, Yusuf. Assalamu alaikum. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Not bad at all. How are you? You okay?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Quite excited about the fruition, as I said. And yeah, we've been on board from the beginning. What object have you bought to share with Max?
I've probably bought something which is not of much historical significance, but definitely of significance to me. And that's a little ornament with a surah from the Quran, Ayatul Kursi, which is familiar to most Muslims. It's a part of the Quran which is referred to all the time. You know, it's something that I pray regularly through the day, and I see it as protection. And if you go into a lot of Muslim households, particularly in the South Asia context, you will see that most houses will have this particular part of the Quran in some kind of display when you enter the house, because it's seen as a form of protection and also means so much as well. It's praising the Lord and his extraordinariness.
It is actually very. I find that I've been trying to study it for a long time, and alhamdulillah, I have learned to understand the Arabic as I speak it, and it does have a huge impact. I feel like it connects with my soul very much. And it's my famous last words when my children leave home. The last thing they hear me say as they drive off, read Ayatul Kursi.
And that's the thing, I mean, like in object form, it's nice to have it in object form, and there's various object forms because you see it in displays as people come in, or you give it as gifts to people, but it's actually the significance of it. And as the years go by, you feel the significance of it, and every time you reflect on the meaning as well, it brings something new to the dynamic. But it's that extraordinary thing about, when you first, I was just told like just in words that it's protection, but now I feel the meaning of the protection in so many ways every time I read it and reread it and reflect on it. So it brings something new every time.
I think that, as you said, with regards to it being important to be in object form, and yeah, I agree with you. I've seen it carved into wood, wooden amulets. People wear it around their necks, little gold pendants. I've seen little things hanging on people's cars with the Ayatul Kursi on. So it really does mean a lot to us as Muslims. This one ayat, I think, encapsulates the entirety of Allah Ta'ala's protection for us. His promise of protecting us, as long as, the more we remember him, the more we recite and connect. And any Muslim household you go into, it connects you with that household, doesn't it?
It does, absolutely. And like I said, having visited parts of South Asia as well, that South Asian dynamic, I know, of course, it's in Arabic, and everyone has different ways of significance, but the protection element, and I've seen it particularly in South Asian homes to be in ornate form, in various ornate forms as well. So for me, that is another point of connection.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's yeah. I think that we as Muslims feel it within us as well. We carry it within us, and it connects us to our spirituality. Isn't it? Yeah. Thank you,
Yusuf. Can I ask you where you actually got the objects from? I know they're widely available.
It was a gift to the family, and often you get gifts. So I'll just put it. I don't know if you can see it clearly in the camera. So it's almost in this gift box, like in jewelry format, and it comes in place with this little golden plaque where the inscription in Arabic is. So yeah, it was given to us by someone within the family, and it's one of those things that you will always put on display.
Sarah, should we move on to your object?
Well, I think just reflecting on something that Yusuf was saying about the objects and the fact that it's given as a gift and it's ornate and it's for display and it's given with such reverence in a beautiful velvet box. That it shows, actually, it highlights very much for me how important art is in our culture in the Muslim world. For there is an ayat of the Quran, it's just sprung to mind. I can't tell you exactly which one, but it resembles the words that do beautiful things, for Allah loves beautiful things. So Allah loves beauty, and through that, He enhancing the words of Allah Ta'ala in the form that Yusuf has presented. It's a beautiful thing. It's an art. It's a skill as well. And so my object is actually to do with art. It's something. It's a painting that I keep by my bed. It's next to my bedside. I don't know if you can see it.
I believe you brought a digital version of us. So
yeah.
You see it on the screen.
I will try and share my screen. It is, if you bear with me just 1 second.
No, that's fine. And then you can tell us a little bit. It looks fascinating. You almost make me feel like I haven't brought art with me, but you're absolutely right. I mean, different things mean different. They're both. Oh wow!
Can you see it? Can everybody see that clearly?
Yes.
This is a painting by Osman Hamadi Bey, a Turkish painter, born in the late 19th century and died 1910, I believe. And it's The Reader. Basically, I absolutely loved this painting when I saw it. It was on display, I believe, in the British Museum when I went to the British Museum. And my daughter kindly bought me a print, not the original, but a print, which I cherish and have it next to my bedside because in the morning when I read my morning Fajr prayers, my daily prayers, I always like to try and open my Quran and sit and read. And this just kind of inspires me even more to do that, you know. It feels like when it just brings to mind the ayat, Iqra bismi rabbika allazi khalaq. Read the first ayat, the first inspiration that was brought down to the Prophet Muhammad where the angel Gabriel was ordained to say to order the Prophet to read. And reading is so important to us. That's how we are sharing and learning and absorbing. And this piece of art, this beautiful painting, if you look at it, there's so much detail. If you look at the details in the background, the carpet, the work on the barrier, you know, in the wood, in the stone, even the little detail of there's a man coming in through the mosque window, mosque door in the background, and somebody else reading. There's so much you can see in this. There's so much detail. There's so much beautiful painting in the art, in the arch at the top, the calligraphy in the background, and he's sitting. The reader is sitting with books behind him, and around him he's got books scattered around him. That just shows to me that books are there to be read, not just to be put on a shelf. So he's there and he's completely absorbed in his reading, in his recitation. And all of the beauty around him is, to him, it's a blur, but it's part of his existence, you know? So I love this, and that's why it is a painting which holds, you know, a lot of importance to me, inspiration.
When I look at that painting, Sarah, it's a beautiful painting, absolutely beautiful. And as I've just looked at it for a little bit longer as you were speaking and I was listening to you, spatially, I mean, paintings are not that broad spatially, but that the spatially that's so broad, because the first, the thing that I was reflecting on when you mentioned the man coming in is you can see the sky outside, yet he's sat in one corner, and like you said, everything around him spatially, you've got the high ceilings, you've got the beautiful ornaments and everything, and he's completely in what he's reading, in his reflection of God, or probably praying to God, one or the other. And there's these other books as well, which is probably reflecting that he's been doing this for time. And then between him and the person entering is another person doing the same thing. Yet again, that creates so much space in this painting, because the distance between him and he looks so small, and even though he's in the middle, yeah, he's doing the same thing. It's fascinating, that painting, because the more you look at it, the more you're finding in there.
I think that's, sorry, carry on.
I think just to follow that, what I really love about this picture is that we all can identify this with this. It's something that could be in our local mosque. Okay, maybe the decor and the arch and things like that will be different, but you would see that in any masjid that you would walk into, and we will all probably have seen a reader like that in the mosque. So we can really identify with this, regardless of what place this is taken from, or wherever it's identified as in the world map. As a Muslim, we will have always all have come across something similar to this.
I think I'd just like to add that the look on the reader's face is so sublime and so peaceful and so connected with what he's reading. And that's how I read it. I see it that way. And maybe that's what I aspire to when I read. I want to have that connection where within everything, there is nothing, and yet there is everything. You know what I mean? Sounds a bit profound, but
I hear you completely, because you're absolutely right. I mean, the connection is the key word here. Like to be connected in a way where I'm saying, is he reading? Is he praying? Is he reflecting? He's doing all three and probably more, because his focus is completely there. But in, like you say, in such a humbling way, the way he's kind of, lost in his text. There's the eyes are towards the text, but the facial expressions are like, probably sounds very profound, but mind, body, and soul are connected to where he is right now. Mm. And of course, being in the mosque, like you say, Nusrat is a special place, and it's very typical, although the surroundings might be different, of going to the mosque. You'd always find somebody in this state of prayer,
contemplation,
spiritual high and reflection. So you can relate to it, and often, especially maybe if I take back a younger version of myself going to the mosque, and you could be doing things in the mosque where you weren't really connected. So you know what that looks like, and when somebody's really connected, what that looks like. Because of course the mosque is a social space as well, for people to come and talk to each other, people to catch up with each other, sometimes for people to try not to be distracted and find themselves in that text. And then when you found yourself in the text, as he has, that in itself is
divine. I think this is, I think we can see that how much it means to us, that space, from this picture, that space means so much to the Muslim heart, you know what I mean? And but going back to the artist, and the detail that he's put into the carpets, the yellow carpet, he's not just got a blank yellow space, he's put the detail, the geometric patterns in it. And the carpet that the reader is sitting on, he's put a little fold in it, because that's how it is. Yeah. He's encapsulated the reality, and that's how it is. It's not all perfect and pristine. There's a little fold that sometimes we trip over and then we straighten it out. And it's that feeling of connectivity, and even looking at the lampshades. If you look carefully, the detail is so.
It just shows the space being used, and that's what masjid is.
That's right.
It's perfect.
And it shows that objects are not just as objects there, but it serves a purpose. There's a purpose being served. So absolutely, the purpose being served in the way it's laid out, then for him to be able to read on it. But you're right, it's very real. But it's also not, it's very real in the sense that you can have something in the painting that looks perfect. It's also very real in that I think, just as you said, Nusrat, earlier on, you want to be able to relate to that. That makes it so much more relatable, the fact that it's real, relatable to any mosque or any space where you'd find somebody like that. So that is another element of the realness that comes through to me, that how it's so relatable.
And I think that just takes us really nicely as to what the South Asia Gallery is and the objects that will be in there. Because it's our personal and lived experiences, and the perspectives are taken from our lenses, we will be able to relate to those objects. And the journey on the South Asia co-curation, the whole journey has been about our creating better understanding between ourselves, and your story, Saira, or any other member's story that they want to share with visitors. We have shared ownership in that story now, because we've been on this journey together. And what we want for our visitors is for them to come in, and just as we've kind of just talked about this painting, we want them to look at the displays in the South Asia Gallery and connect to those displays, and can see themselves, or a part of themselves, or a time where they were exactly in the masjid, sitting in that pose. They actually see themselves in those displays. So I think the two things that you've brought today, I think they've really been able to, I'm gonna have to cut this bit out a bit. They really, I think, just leave it there. Do you want to add anything?
Well, just hoping that we can value art and value the objects that we have, and be aspirational as well as inspirational. And where the hope is that the gallery will do that. It will inspire us, our community, and the wider community to take ownership, as you said, Nusrat, to take ownership of these places and ownership of our heritage and our culture and our faith in a beautiful and progressive way.
No, absolutely, so exciting. And I really, just like you saying it, just these two objects have brought so much discussion just amongst three people that kind of know each other. I'm really genuinely, and I do believe that the collective and the museum is committed to this, to hear people's perspectives on our objects, to hear people's perspectives on our stories. And of course, the museum is not going to be a static place where those conversations and people's perspectives may lead on to the next iteration or the evolving of that space. That's the thing that really excites me, is how alive the plan for the museum is to be, and why we've invested so much of our time in it. So absolutely, to aspire, as you say, but inspire. And also really, for me, is for people to make it a very personal thing for them to maybe, being of South Asian background myself, and being British as well, it's an opportunity. Certainly if the opportunity was presented to me 15 years ago, for me to explore my own identity personally and take away from it. So rediscover really for people and reconnect. Absolutely. And the other powerful thing I'm probably going to add, just as a thing for people to look forward to in terms of the space, is, as much as it's called the South Asia Gallery, we've at every stage tried to connect it back to and how easily it's connected back to where we are in Manchester and the locality as well, and how much relevance even I've forgotten or wasn't aware through my own identity, how our space in where we are in Britain and our own histories, just beyond the kind of big picture, or the things that are always discussed, that we're connected. So how Manchester connects and Lancashire connects with South Asia and South Asian history is more powerful than people think, including myself. I've rediscovered it through this journey. I'm looking forward for others to rediscover it through us and the gallery.
Thank you, Saira and Yusuf. It's been absolutely brilliant talking to you. Saira, is there any last words you want to add?
I think Yusuf has just summarized everything very beautifully, and I don't think there's any need to say any more.
Thank you so much for sharing your objects with us. Yeah, it's brought lots of food for thought, and I'm just really glad that we've been able to be on this journey together, and I'm really looking forward to this whole year of when we've really, keep saying really, when the bringing the South Asia Gallery to life.
Fantastic.
Thank you, Mr.
Jazakallah.
We over to Nusrat. Would you like to answer some questions, Nusrat?
Yes,
I think. Questions?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you firstly for having us and being able to present our Manchester Museum plans for the Hello Future South Asia Gallery. So I just wanted to say that in advance of everybody probably leaving soon. So it's really good that we've been able to be here today. I think there were a few questions in the chat and I did answer one, but I can't actually see if there is any more. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask?
I can see one, Nusrat. It says, marvelous painting. The painting they were talking beautifully, Yusuf and Sarah. It says, can you share the name of the artisan again?
Yes, I did share that on the chat. So it is called, the painter is Osman Hamdi Bey, and the title of the painting is Reciting the Quran. And it was on exhibition, the original painting at the British Museum. And Sarah actually saw this painting when she went to the British Museum as part of the South Asia Gallery research trips. So that just shows the impact of the work that we're doing for her to then go into detail and have it by her bedside. And she has a, you know, she looks at it every day. So yeah, it just shows the journey that the co-curators have been on for Manchester Museum's gallery.
I think there's one question in the chat which I can answer. It says, you mentioned it will not be in person. Is the 5th of March 2020 at the Fitwood Gallery not going ahead? No, we are having a launching Muslim Women's Art Festival with an amazing day with exhibitions, performance, singing, you know, you name it, we're doing it, art workshops, food, everything. So that is definitely live. And there's another live event happening at Manchester Science Museum, block printing. There's a live event at Central Library with poetry. There's a live event at Longside Library with silk painting. So there are some live events. Rosina, this answers your question, but most others are digital. So this question doesn't have to do with Manchester Museum. Anybody else has a question, please do pin them in the chat if you have. I'm sure I saw another one. Can anybody? Sumaya, do you have a question while we're at it? It's the first time you learned about the artifacts from the Manchester Museum. It's the first time you've seen them.
Yeah, so beautiful. I love the one, especially the calligraphy with the scissors. That was beautiful, and it says Al-Fattah on it, which is, like you said, Nusrat, about how it's like to open. And I think we sort of underestimate something like that. So that was, and all the other artifacts, thank you, Nusrat, for sharing all of it with us. It was just fascinating. And I need to go to the gallery and the Manchester Museum.
I mean, it was actually the first time I saw those objects, and I've been working in the museum since 2019. And for me, you know, it was about seeing things that we see in our everyday life. So we see Surah Fatiha, we see the Arabic writing when we open the Quran, and to actually see these in the stores at Manchester Museum, it really just dawned on me. There's so many things that we want to share with our visitors, and it's having the opportunity to do that. And I think Macfest allows us to then bring these objects out and share with yourselves. And hopefully when the gallery opens, I think one of the things I want to touch on, which my talk didn't go into detail, was about the South Asia Gallery having a performance space right at the heart of it. And it's going to be this really connecting space for the community to come in and do workshops and talks, and it will be a three-sided projection space, so you can actually project onto the side walls. And I really do hope that next year we'll be able to do Manchester Museum's Macfest in person at the gallery, but as well as live stream it so we can get a global audience.
That's great. Thank you so much, Nusrat.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Nusrat, for the fascinating artifacts you showed us today. We would like to express our warmest gratitude to Manchester Museum and appreciation for your contribution and partnership. That was wonderful. And last but not least, I would like to thank the audience for joining us today on your precious Saturday. We know how that's important. And please join us tomorrow for the amazing event, part of the Youth Festival, about children's books, Our Everyday Heroes, and that's at 3 o'clock GMT time. So
I just like to ask about this. This is an amazing event tomorrow that's coming. It's a Canadian children's author sitting in Toronto, and her host will be sitting in Germany. So please do join us. It's part of our youth festival. If you have children, if you love books, or if you're a writer, it's an ideal session for you guys. So inshallah, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much, Sumaya, for hosting us today. And thank you again, Nusrat, for taking part. And what a lovely session you produced for us. And I really loved your conversation with your fellow curator, but also between Yusuf and Sarah. That was really nice. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.